There's a knock at the rabbi's door. The rabbi opens his door and it's his next door neighbor. The rabbi says, "Is everything okay?" And his neighbor says, "No, I've been robbed 3 times in the last month. And I've noticed that no one's robbed you, Rabbi." And the rabbi smiles at his neighbor and he points at his doorpost. It's the mezuzah. Inside there's parchment with Hebrew writing from the Bible. It will protect you and protect your house. His neighbor says, "Rabbi, I need one." The rabbi gives his neighbor a mezuzah, and everything seems to be wonderful. About a month later, there's a knock at the rabbi's door. It's his neighbor, and the neighbor is holding the mezuzah. And the rabbi says, "What's the matter? Were you robbed?" "No, Rabbi, I wasn't robbed. But the day I put that mezuzah on my door, every single day, there's a knock at the door, somebody else asking for a donation. Please take back your mezuzah." In this week's portion, Parshat Metzora, we read of an individual who will go over to the Kohen, and he will say to the Kohen, "You must come to my house because I've noticed that there's a discoloring on my wall." The Talmud tells us that the reason why this person's home was afflicted and became discolored is because we need to examine the words of the verse. The verse says that the individual goes to the Kohen and he says, "My home became discolored." What does it mean when it says, "my home"? And the rabbis explain it to mean that the person is really saying, "My home to the exclusion of all others. I let no one into my home, and I lend nothing from my home to anyone else." And the rabbis say such an individual is a miser. And as a result of that, his home, so to speak, became discolored. Such an attitude, of course, is the antithesis of what a Jewish home is all about. The very first Jewish home, of course, was the home of Abraham and Sara, of Abraham and Sarah, the first father and the first mother of the Jewish people. They had a very, very unique home. Their home had actually 4 entrances on each side. So no matter in which direction somebody was walking, they were always facing the entrance to the house. That's a Jewish home. There's a very fascinating statement made in the Talmud. The Talmud says, "Adam she'en lo bayit," a man who does not have a home, we should consider that person as if he is somewhat incomplete. It's a rather strange statement to make. If I don't own my own home, that means I'm incomplete. Jewish mysticism explains the idea in the following manner. Each and every one of us, you and I, we were put here on earth for a reason, for a purpose. And by extension, anything and everything that we possess is part of that purpose. The purpose, of course, is to become, for a better word or expression, an ambassador for God. We need to bring God's presence here on earth. When we do an act of kindness, when we do an act of goodness, when we perform one of God's commandments, in a sense we are revealing God's presence here on earth. So is it true not only when we speak about the individual, we also speak in those terms about our home. The Jewish home is unique. When you enter into the home, you may see the Shabbat candles, a Chanukiah. There could be Jewish paintings on the wall. But not only is the inanimate an expression of godliness, but the way we view our home, the fact that we open our home to guests, that we allow people in for shelter, for comfort, as Abraham and Sarah did. That is the definition of a true Jewish home. I'll be the first to admit that it's not an easy thing to recognize and realize that even our possessions need to convey a sense of holiness, a sense of spirituality. But imagine if our home would actually do that, what an impact it would have on our family. Imagine if we could have a home that Abraham and Sarah, when they would enter into it, they would say, that's a true Jewish home. May God bless each and every one of us, that we should build a home where Abraham and Sarah would enter into and they would feel at home. Shabbat Shalom and thank you.